What's going on, everybody? It is January 9th, 2024, daily log episode over NQ. So today I was unable to do a live stream, unfortunately. I had to take care of some things family-wise. Just kind of popped up last minute. So this morning, the morning session was really, really nice in terms of price action and overall narrative, what we were talking about last night. Still looking for higher prices. I was talking about the SIBI with the bearish breaker as well. Just something to keep in mind. But I talked about last night, the weekly and the monthly being the parent time frames. Those were more significant in terms of kind of overseeding with narrative where price should lead to. So these were both still bullish in my mind. And that's why today there's fairly easy price action if you wanted to go long. In terms of the rest of the week, we have CPI on Thursday. So I'm curious to see tomorrow, typically the day before a major news event driver, price action can be a little bit stale, meaning like it's really not going to move that much. It can differ, of course, each day and week is unique, but characteristically that is really what happens before like FOMC, NFP, CPI, all those major economic news event drivers. So just something to be aware of going into tomorrow. I still see higher prices. I would still elect to look for NQ, ES, and Dow to keep heading higher. Inside of this SIBI still and the bearish breaker, which is to the left of us, we have a fair value gap resting underneath price. I would prefer that to stay open. I really wouldn't want to see price trade back down into that low, just because it seems too far of a retracement if we were going to continue higher. I'd rather that be left open. Looking at the 4-hour, I talked about this fair value gap here kind of being the last point of interest. Same idea as what I just talked about on the daily. You want to see this lower fair value gap left open, because if it's in a hurry to get somewhere, then it's going to utilize the closest inefficiency or PD array. Not all the time, but in certain situations like this where you have a rapid displacement away from a discount or a premium, especially on a higher time frame, that's letting you know that this is in a hurry to get somewhere. So you would want to see that lower fair value gap left open, and you can kind of take that information and put it into the lower time frames on a 1 minute. Beautiful reaction up into basically the equilibrium, just shy of it, of that SIBI there. So I'm curious to see tomorrow how we react. I like this lower fair value gap. It's the same thing I just talked about. I'd rather this be the last point of interest. I wouldn't want to see price revisit this one in here. If anything, we retrace into that to expand higher again. We'll have to see the day before CPI how volatile price gets. I'm quite surprised already with the week, so anything could happen tomorrow. Looking at the 1 hour, we have a few things in here. We have this SIBI here, which I will talk about on my trade today, how we utilize that to expand higher. Really nothing in here that we reacted off of in terms of PD arrays. There's a small little fair value gap there, but 4 hours really the parent. We go down into the silver bullet session, and I really wish I was present today, because it would have been a really cool experience overall on the live stream. I'm a little bummed out about it, to be honest, but it is what it is. I was still able to capture a little bit of price action today, but this would have been really, really nice, especially on the live stream. If you look at this entire series of, I guess, the formation, this is a market maker buy model, and it's happening at a discount, or at least inside of a bullish PD array. Remember that 4 hour in there? You have original consolidation, accumulation, reaccumulation, smart money reversal, first stage distribution. Sometimes there isn't a second stage, aka the unicorn, and then we expand above the original consolidation here. So it really, really is beautiful today, especially if you paired this with a silver bullet. I talked about on live stream how sometimes you get price action before the, like, let's say the open to the silver bullet, that first 30-minute window. Yesterday was a great example of how there was a lot of movement in that first 30 minutes, and the silver bullet being within those boundaries, it's going to keep you away from that. But on other days, it's going to keep you away from really sloppy price action, something that's a little bit more harder to read. So there's pros and cons to every single model and rule set that you have. And that's the reason why being consistent with it and trying to fine tune what those rules are is going to give you a solid data to work with over a long period of time. So if we go down into the 5-minute, you can see the opening was here, rallied higher, dropped it lower, took out some sell side liquidity, and there was a SMT with ES and Dow printing at these lows. If we go into a 1-minute, this is the silver bullet hour. Again, for those who are new, this is my time zone. So make sure you're pairing it with either New York or whatever your time zone is. Personally, I just do my own. It's just easier. You see the open, we drop down, take out sell side liquidity. And all of this price action here is pretty sloppy. So the reason why you wait to the silver bullet is because most of the time that first 30-minute window can fake a lot of people out. And if you wait for that first 30-minute window, by the time the silver bullet comes, then the real move is actually happening. That's the reason why I really focus on it a lot, because it's very easy to get caught up in that first 30 minutes. And it's just a lot more efficient to wait for the silver bullet and have confidence that, well, the real move is more than likely going to unfold. So we drop down into a inversion fair value gap. So this once was a SIBI. We closed above it, dropped down into the inversion. These last two down closed candles are the bullish order block. And then we expand away from price. We drop back down into this breaker here. We have a low, a high, a lower low, then a higher high. So it drops down into this bullish breaker. Small fair value gap there. Displaces away, drops back down into a discount with this last down close candle, bullish order block, and then this was the end of the silver bullet. So you can look at just that macro, which ICT posted today, this macro in here. It can go a little bit further beyond the end of it, but this is really where the algorithm is starting the program, or the macro, and it's starting to spool price, meaning it's going to move quick, right? So overall, if you're looking at today, you would have been targeting at least those relative equal highs here, original consolidation, or that old high there. And that's a large target. You don't need all of that. You could have just simply had a small scalp in here, right above some old highs, and that could have been it. But there's a lot of entries in the morning session. So I wasn't able to participate in any of that, but when it came into the PM session, I was back at the charts. And if I go out to a 5-minute chart in here, I was expecting price for a few things to just keep expanding, at least through the PM session. But there's some signs when I was in this trade where it was just letting me know that we may not get that expansion that I'm expecting today, at least on the PM session, because there was bearish SMT. Dollar index didn't look like it wanted to drop lower. And if you looked at NQ, or if we looked at ES and YM during that session, I'll show you, it just wasn't willing to displace higher. You could tell by at least just the feed anytime that you're not willing to surpass a bearish PD array, like I'll show in here, it's not a good sign, especially when you have other intermarket relationships telling you that it's probably not valid trade idea anymore. To me, that's when I start pulling off partials and protecting myself. Because one moment you could be in a trade and you're on side, and then you start seeing evidence and things that actually you may not actually beat on side, and you can see that we just turned into consolidation the rest of the day. So there's a lot of signs, at least flashing to me, that was going to happen. And that had to do with higher time frame as well. If you go out to a 1 hour, I was looking at the fair value gap that was resting here. So we came back down into it, utilized it as inversion that was coupled within this fair value gap. So I was expecting just a quick displacement away from it and continue to expand the rest of the day. So that's really where the idea came to fruition as I was looking at the higher time frame. If you went down and even into a 15-minute time frame, coupled with that 1 hour inversion, there was a fair value gap there. So at the moment in time, we're resting here. And even the 5-minute, there was a fair value gap there. So all I was looking for just was a continuation away from it. Because everything else is balanced down here. I didn't expect a larger retracement than this. So you can see I entered in this low in here. We're taking out sell side liquidity. Displaced higher, dropped down into the mean threshold of this bullish order block. Expanded away. Old fair value gap turned into an inversion. Just a small little retracement off of the premium end of it. Displaced higher, and then we got into this premium SIBI, and that's where I started to just pull off partials because I could see that it was stalling. It was not willing to displace away from it, and I was looking to target the buy side liquidity here, but unfortunately I couldn't get it. And we dropped down into, we had a bullish breaker with a fair value gap, and that's really where I was giving it its last chance. Because if it came back down into it and I was looking at everything else, it just didn't seem high probability to keep the trade on. So you have to be aware in trades of pulling partials, protecting yourself, knowing when to pay yourself, because the amount of times I've been in a trade and I didn't do any, excuse me, I didn't do anything. And I didn't pull partials and it came back to break even. It's been countless. So partials are very, very crucial. You can see here I took a partial off there, another one, and another one. So really wasn't much. This is off of paper trading. If you guys have been following along, I trade on a different platform with an actual funded account. So my exits were a little bit different than these. I just do this for the purpose of, being easier on TradingView to show you guys. And I think that's going to be it for today. As far as tomorrow, like I mentioned, it's the day before CPI. I still expect maybe a decent movement in the morning session. If we can just go for a little small scalp. I don't think there's going to be a huge, large range day due to CPI being the next day, but there may be a short-term scalp or something that we can get into. I will be live streaming in the morning, so look for Twitter for the notification. Until tomorrow, good luck and good trading, everybody. Be safe.